Hey guys,
Hey everybody,
and
I'm.
gals.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Welcome to SacAnime 2016. We're here today
with
interviewing
this
Roger
guy,
Craig Smith.
Roger Craig Smith.
That's how you do
That's
it.
me. That's how's everybody doing out there? You want to?
Do you want to do this
Let's
interview?
go back to one. Let's go back to one.
All right, hi
All right.
everybody. Welcome to SacAnime 2016. I'm Joey Ferris. We're here today interviewing one of our guests of honor, Roger Craig Smith, one of the most prolific voice actors in the entire industry. Yes, the other one had to cancel, so...
Oh, jeez Louise. I set myself up for that.
Nah, it's all right.
That's okay. I can take it, man.
All right, so speaking of voice acting, because it's kind of your career,
But
was it always part of the plan, or did you initially have something else in mind?
No, I started off doing stand-up comedy, and screenwriting was the major in college, and it was one of those things where, like, in the middle of doing stand-up, I had more people asking about the voiceover and less about the stand-up, and I started to think, okay, maybe I should actually, take their advice and go look into this. No, it was really one of those things where I had no idea this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, but it became that simply because more people were going like, hey, you should really look into this. And I was like, oh, okay. And I did, and I went, oh, this is neat. This is fun. This involves kind of like everything that I liked about stand-up, which was like, you kind of proving something to yourself kind of thing, because we tend to work alone in voiceover, but it was a lot of, you could incorporate some ad-libbing, and you were a part of a production team, which is what I liked as well. So it was just a sort of perfect marriage of all the things that I didn't know I wanted to do, but that I turned out to actually want to go do.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
it was never part of the plan.
How'd you get thrown into voice acting? Did you just, was it because they said you should be in voice acting and then you did it?
So what happens is, like, a lot of people, like, they hear you speak, or with stand-up I would MC like a charity event every now and then, or that kind of thing, and people go like, oh, you got a good speaking voice, you should really look into, have you ever thought about, do you work in radio, or that kind of thing. So all those comments start happening, and you just go, why does he keep saying like voiceover? I'll go look into it. And that's literally what happened. And it was like, I literally Googled, voiceover training and all that kind of stuff. I took a class in LA, and then I went back down, and I actually paid a guy that was at my college to record me reading a magazine ads out loud into a microphone, and I put together the world's worst voiceover demo and went and knocked on doors down at like production studios down in Orange County, and kind of just passed stuff out and said, I'm here, I'm new, and I want to learn, and I'm good, and I'm cheap. So it's like it started that way. It was, and then from there, it just, career, I know, right? Yeah, knock on wood.
Knock on wood. I mean, how long have you been doing this for since?
Probably 12 years now. 12 years total. So I think 10 years professionally, and then a good 2 to 3 years somewhere in there prior to that. So maybe 13 years total, I guess, somewhere in there.
You bring up screenwriting. Did you write any good screenplays?
I wrote 2 screenplays for college. We started to develop one with a company. I had a literary manager that we were working with, and we had about 5 different meetings and a lot of 5 different rewrites and all kind of stuff. And eventually, we just kind of realized they were kind of changing it a little too much, to the point where we felt like, this isn't the right company to do this particular like project, and walked away from it. And right at about that time, I was also starting to get more and more voiceover work, and it became the kind of thing where it was like, it was taking so much of my time that it was like, all right, well, I think I'm going to bark up this tree, because this tree is paying, and this tree shows momentum, and screenwriting was sort of like, we'll wait and see. It's still something that I really value. It's just still something that I would love to return to, but I've been fortunate enough to be busy enough with voiceover that it's just kind of like the idea of trying to do something different at this stage of my life, I think would either hinder or take away from my ability to do the voiceover, which would be kind of a foolish decision at this point. So
I totally understand.
Pays the bills.
I want to talk about this guy
that
right
guy,
here.
yes, he's Ezio, sí.
Ezio Auditore.
Sí. No, you got to you go Ezio. I want to talk about Ezio Auditore. Auditore da Firenze. Was that Enzo Auditore da Firenze? Yes, Ezio Auditore da Firenze. Sí. Yes. What do you want to know about him?
I want to know, like, what it was
Pisces.
like getting this.
He's really into long walks on the beach, drunk snuggling, that kind of thing.
I wanted to know, mastering that Italian accent, what was that like? First
of all, I didn't master an Italian accent at all, and I guarantee you there's a lot of Italians out there that would go like, what is he doing? So the character of Ezio comes about, and this is true of just about every single character that I've ever done, or anything that I've done in voiceover, is that it's a very collaborative process. And we had, at the time that we were establishing Ezio, Ida Darvish was my dialect coach, Amanda Wyatt was our voiceover director on the project, and all of us kind of worked together to kind of create this character. We played around. Patrice Desilets was our creative director on the game, and all of us kind of played around with what we wanted this guy to sound like, because we were also going to do 3 different versions, essentially. And really and truly, we're probably only kind of like bouncing around between 2 versions in the beginning, because we didn't know we were going to get to do Revelations. And so we messed around with like, hey, more youthful Ezio, having this. And then we went to more like what he was, when he was more capable. And then, of course, we dropped him down to this, to he was in the twilight of his life. And that was literally working with Ida to kind of help me with the dialect. And she would sometimes, for all the lines that were in Italian, she would sit in the booth with me, and we would go sort of phonetically line by line on the lines in Italian. So if it was insieme per la vittoria, I would sit there and say, like, insieme per la is it Vittoria, and she'd be no Vittoria, and then Vittoria, like you have to hit the T of this, and she would sort of tell me what she wanted, and then I would basically just parrot back the words. So phonetically, she would say insieme per la vittoria, and I'd be like, okay, insieme, and then we'd start to finesse a performance, and it was all done kind of quickly. She'd be like, okay, it's this, 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 and I'd be like, requiescat in pace, and she'd be like, requiescat in pace, and be like, okay. We'd get it. She'd give me the thumbs up. I'd give Amanda the thumbs up. We're ready to roll. We'd do it. Ida would pass off on the performance or the dialect, if you will, or the accent or the actual words, and then Amanda would give the thumbs up on the performance, and Patrice would say, yeah, it's good, it's perfect for what we wanted to do, and we'd move on from there. So it was a very collaborative process, and really and truly we knew that we weren't sort of trying to do, because it was a period piece, nobody really knows exactly the way they would have spoken back then, and also you got to make it for a sort of a contemporary gaming audience. So we kind of messed around with what we called like Italia Spanglinish, which was sort of like, it was a little bit of like, most interesting man in the world meets a little bit of I always said Valentino Rossi from MotoGP racing meets Roger Craig Smith, and trying to finesse a performance that would make sense and maybe be a little bit period appropriate in certain ways, but also not necessarily be so authentic that it just kind of took away from the character. At the end of the day, we wanted to make him a protagonist and not like necessarily nail the accent. So it was more about performance than it was accent. So I did not nail an Italian accent, and to this day, when everybody asks me to do the voice or that kind of thing, I'm always so nervous because I rely so heavily on a dialect coach. Peter Arpacella, who's a brilliant actor, was my dialect coach about halfway through Brotherhood and all the way through Revelations. And it's like, working with those, both Ida and Peter, it was like they are as much a responsible for the voice of Ezio as anybody else is, so let alone me. So
it's like a fun fact. This guy, our sound guy right here, in high school we did a little short film. I killed him, right, and I just did requiescat in pace.
That's good. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
Exactly what you got to do.
It's a really cool thing. It's a really cool thing to say to somebody, after you've killed them.
It really is.
I guess apparently.
I remember
not that I would know.
I killed my camera guy. But other than that, so speaking of dreams coming true, I mean, who doesn't want to be in a Disney movie, right? You're in two of them.
I know.
Tell us about that.
So Wreck-It Ralph and Planes, I'm assuming that that's what you're saying.
Yes, of course.
So it was Wreck-It Ralph and Planes, and Wreck-It Ralph came about as just the dumb luck of having been the voice of Sonic at the time when they basically were going to have the character of Sonic making a little cameo appearance in Wreck-It Ralph, and that was just pure luck. The fact that I was doing the voice at the time that they wanted to have this character be in their film. And it was awesome getting to work with Rich Moore, the director, on that, and having him sit in and direct me on things, and having him basically say, like, do what you do, but I'll just give you an idea on like pace and stuff like that. I was like, okay, cool. And he couldn't have been a nicer guy and couldn't have been a bigger fan of games. So it's to know that they've got another film coming out is really cool. I have no idea if Sonic's going to be in it whatsoever. I know that it's taking place in the internet or something like that, as opposed to like video games. So there's always the possibility of that. But it was still just a huge honor to be a part of anything like that. And then Planes was the absolute sort of dream come true.
Sonic came after Planes, right? When you're working on it, wise.
It did, yeah. Okay. So Planes, I think Planes either hadn't premiered yet or we were already in production on Planes.
It came out shortly after Wreck-It Ralph, I think.
Is that okay? Yeah. I'm trying to remember the timeline. So yeah. Planes was about 3.5 years in the making for me, and that's why it was like every time I walked in, it started as me basically just wanting to do scratch and ADR and help with animatics and stuff with the production team, because in voiceover we do a lot of that, where sometimes your performance is parroted back by a celebrity and replaced essentially before the final version of the film comes out, and I'm fine with that because it's like we're a part of a production team 9 times out of 10, and that's and I get that we're talking about box office numbers and things like that, so to get a celebrity name in there kind of helps sell seats, and there you go. But Planes came about. It was supposed to be direct-to-video at first, and we were sort of working on animatics, and I was helping out at table reads and things like that. And both Carlos Alisraki and I were at the initial table read in front of John Lasseter, and the story I've been told from both writers and directors, they said, well, yeah, he signed off on you guys at that table read and said, like, that's Ripslinger and that's El Chu. Wow. And it was, and I still to this day, every time I walked in, and to this day I still don't believe it, but it was like I would walk into sessions with Clay Hall, our director, and sit there and think like, okay, man, this is they'd see me knock on wood. And they're like, when are you going to celebrate this? It's like, well, because I just got, it's a Fabergé egg of opportunity to be a part of a Disney film even if it's straight to DVD, and then of course we started hearing about a theatrical release, and I was just like, well, then they're going to replace me, but it didn't happen. It came to fruition, and I got to be a villain in a Disney film, and to this day I just look back on this career and only 12 years, 10 years of doing it, and just go, man, I don't know how that happened. I don't expect lightning to strike twice, but I was so honored.
Pretty much.
I know, that was the other thing. I couldn't believe it. It was like I was driving down Sunset Boulevard and I'm seeing this huge, like they covered up the side of a building with this planes planes poster. And there's Rip Slinger just like, for, out front and center. And I asked the marketing people one time, I said, why Rip? And they said, because he's the coolest racing plane. They're like, little boys want to see like cool racing planes. And they said, so we wanted to make sure that they understood that there's some really cool, exciting stuff going on in here. And it was neat. And the way that they introduced the character in the film was incredible. And so it was just a really, really neat way to sort of celebrate being a part of something so epic in my career.
Oh, man, that's so epic.
Thank you.
Could you stop recording that camera for a second? So speaking of cool boys,
Yes.
play a pretty cool boy in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Like pretty much the most, like next to Mario, the most recognizable gaming character of all time, Sonic the
Kyle
Hedgehog.
Crane. Oh, sorry. It was Sonic. Yes, no, Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah,
Kyle Crane is dying light.
I know, he's dying light. He's not quite the legacy.
My favorite zombie game of that year, though.
Oh, cool, good.
Yeah.
It was a really fun video game. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, man, that came around in 2010, and a lot of people say, like, how'd you get that, or you need to contact Sega and tell them that you shouldn't be the voice and all that stuff, and I just say, it doesn't work that way in the industry. Like, I showed up for an audition, went in with a bunch of other people, we all auditioned, and next thing you know, you come back for some callbacks, and then they call you up and they go, hey, you got the voice.
You know who else was auditioning for Sonic?
What's that?
Do you know who else was auditioning for Sonic?
Brad Pitt, George Clooney,
Nice.
Leo DiCaprio. Leo DiCaprio wasn't very good, I'll be honest.
He could have won an Oscar.
And then myself, so it was between the four of us.
Nice.
If I did the math right on that, and I was happy to win out on those guys.
That's really cool.
I think it was. I feel kind of bad because I think I was hired for my looks more than anything. But I'll take it
For the mocap.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take it. No, that was. I honestly don't remember. It was. It's because, truth be told, like half the people that are at this convention right now that are voice actors, I see at every audition anyway, and we always just kind of like.
I see.
And there's no real sense of like competition. It's always just kind of like you're stoked when somebody gets a role, and you're slightly jealous, but you're also just like, well, there's a lot of work for everybody, and it's kind of a neat thing to see happening in the industry, but. That just happened as an audition. I just auditioned and I got the role and been doing it since 2010. And we had Sonic Boom come out as a series, which was really successful.
Oh, yeah.
The games have been sort of like there's widely varying opinions on that, but Sonic really is looking strong for 2017, which is exciting.
Oh yeah.
We got a multi-platform game coming out, which is really cool. We've got Project
Sonic
Boom
2017. That's the final title. It's
yeah,
gonna
exactly.
be called
Project Sonic Boom 2017 is that what it is? That's the final title. Yeah, you've heard it here. You didn't hear anything here. No, it's been really cool. It's been a really neat thing to be a part of, and it's
25th
a great
anniversary this year, man.
No kidding, right?
Yeah,
25 years. It's nuts. Makes me feel so much older than I am, even though I am old. But it is one of those things where you just go, wow, it's just crazy to think of like what's happened with that character and how long it's been around, all that stuff. So and to be a part of it, even just a small chunk of its history, is really cool.
I mean, movie coming out in 2018. That's exciting.
I know, right? And I know nothing about that. It's like literally I know nothing about that. That's one of those things where nobody tells us anything. So
oh jeez.
I know.
I mean, that's how they'll get you back. They don't replace you like Justin Bieber or some crap.
Yeah, they could. And again, we're talking about commerce and we're talking about what helps sell movie tickets. So, and at the end of the day, households don't know the name of Roger Craig Smith, but they might know a celebrity name, so they might go that path.
I mean, it's going to be a mix of live action from what I heard. So.
That's what I've heard as well. So it could be very interesting.
They could put Neil Patrick Harris in there or something.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because he needs to be in everything, like Smurfs and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now,
because the poor guy needs to get a little work. You know what I mean? I feel like Neil Patrick
man.
Harris just doesn't get any jobs, and
I mean, anyone.
Hollywood's really kind of passed him over. It's really weird. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
When you did the voice of Sonic, like, did you look back and see like previous voices to get some inspiration, or was that all just you or the director?
No, I think we probably looked at certain other videos. We probably looked at different things, and then it was kind of like from there we decided we were going to start to finesse it a different way, and that's not up to me. That's usually working with a director. That's working with the production team to have them determine what it is that they want us to do. And I think what they were trying to do is kind of make him a little bit more contemporary, kind of age him up just a little bit, so that I feel like Sonic maybe grew up a little bit. And early on, it was like we were still trying to find that we were working on trying to find that that sort of vocal print for the character. At an early point, and honestly, to this day, we're still kind of like working on some of that stuff. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Sonic's
It's always evolving.
It's
always
great.
evolving.
Yeah. I remember the first time I heard you, I was like, "Oh, the Sonic's more deeper than usual." This is
I know,
interesting.
and that was everybody's. You're too old to play Sonic, man. You can't do.
Listen, Sonic
your voice
fans
is
are
too deep.
never happy. It's
What?
okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Tim, cut that out. I'm editing this crap.
Okay, good. I know. Don't do that.
I have to watch myself and
Exactly.
everything.
You're gonna get hate mail now. See,
I'm
gonna get hate mail.
Oh well. All right, guys, this has been Roger Craig Smith interview for SacAnime
Hello.
2016.
Thank you, SacAnime.
It's been fun having you.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Visit SacAnime.com for the next convention. He's a regular visitor, so if you missed this con, just be on the lookout for the next one.
I might be darkening your doorstep again someday soon.
Like your doorstep, not
Yeah.
the cons. Just remember that.